Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope you are well, wherever you are, whatever the damn time. Welcome back to another video. A little bit of a different style today. Today, I actually thought that I would walk you through how I have improved my legs over the past few years and the improvements that I've made from my previous contest prep to this contest prep. To be honest, I say contest prep, but I think ever since I really decided to take bodybuilding a little bit more seriously, what have I done to bring up my legs? With my physique, that is an area that has lagged behind, and it's definitely a lot easier for that body part for that body part to lag just because of the way I'm built. Right, I've got very very long legs, and it just takes a lot more time to put some mass on them. But I've definitely made some incredible improvements, and they're for sure a lot more visible throughout this contest prep as body fat has come down, which I'm honestly really proud of. So I thought that I would share some advice whilst you watch my leg session from today. It is going to be one of the last kind of hard leg sessions before I go into my second show of the season, which is in 9 days at this point. So I had this session today, which is Thursday. I'll have another leg session on Sunday. That'll probably be the last one where I'm really pushing, and then I'll have another leg session on Wednesday, but that'll be D volume, very, very low intensity, just to almost touch up the legs a little bit to make sure that there's some kind of fullness in them a bit. But anyway, let's start off. So I've got 5 tips that I want to talk you through. The first one I believe is honestly the most important and the biggest game changer. And if you're a subscriber of the channel, or if you follow me on Instagram, I've banged on about this point so much, but it's the increase in frequency in which I train my legs. I think a lot of the time, people, if they want to make improvements to a certain body part, will just ramp up volume. So let's say they're just training legs once a week, they'll just throw more sets into that single leg session. But I think there's so much to be said about just increasing how frequently you do your leg work. So, for example, I know a lot of people are just doing splits like push, pull, rest, legs, rest, repeat, right? So you're training your legs every 5 days. The difference that I found going from something like that to lower upper or lower push, rest, lower again, pull, rest. So you're training your legs every 3 days is stark. The difference is significant for me in terms of just doing something more frequently. Now, obviously, there's a point of diminishing returns. You can't train your legs every single day. Well, to be honest, I think Michaela Ayuk, is that her name? Michaela Ayuk? I think she actually done a period of time where she only trained her legs, but obviously it wasn't every day. But that's beside the point. The main point here is frequency. If you can train something more frequently, you make mistakes sooner, you learn quicker. It's exactly why, and this is an example that I used on a reel that I made before, on apps like Duolingo, all these apps where you're trying to learn something like a language or whatever the case may be, you're studying for something, they'll reward you for keeping up a streak because frequency matters. If you go on Duolingo once a week and you learn for 2 hours, I promise you it's going to be more effective for you to rack up 2 hours by just doing Duolingo every single day, but just in short stints. There's just something about frequency. So I would definitely look to increase the amount of frequency that you've done. And even if you think you are training frequently, because I know there's, as I said, a lot of people are doing the 5 day rolling split and they're training legs every 5 days, which is great. It's better than every 7. But the difference from 5 to 3 is also dramatic. That's what I've found anyway. Secondly, is really focusing on my mobility and prehab work. And you're probably thinking, how the hell is mobility and prehab work going to contribute to you building more muscle? But one, it means that I am in less pain across the year. I I don't have to pull back on my training because of injuries or because of little niggles. I am essentially in the game of building muscle for a longer period of time. If you're injured, you can't make progress. Injuries and illness are not good in bodybuilding because you can't make progress. It's basically a pause in time. So if you can stay on top of your mobility and prehab work, it will help a lot. So The kind of the first reason why I think it's important for you to stay on top of that, and again, I've said it so many times, but if you're new here, I use an app called GoWOD, which is amazing. Daily routines from 8 minutes to 22 minutes. You can also test your mobility, so you can see your mobility improving every single month. It's really good. And I think the style of the app fits bodybuilders kind of, most bodybuilders are very neurotic, and I think it fits their kind of thinking style really well. But second reason you want to do a lot of mobility and prehab work is because it allows you to get comfortable in uncomfortable ranges that your training might not typically put you in. And I think that almost opens you up to be able to build more muscle. It opens you up to a greater range of motion. It gets you more comfortable in positions where you potentially haven't been before, where there's now more opportunity for you to build more muscle. So if you can get deeper in a Bulgarian split squat, if you can open up your hips more in a squat or in a leg press, or if you can get more knee flexion or more ankle flexion, or if you can do these things, it's going to allow you to build more muscle because you're working in greater ranges. So I really think there's merit to really staying on top of your mobility and prehab work. And just like anything, I think just slowly introducing it. So it could just be on rest days. For most people, I think would be a really good idea. Just literally 5 to 10 minutes on rest days. Cool, that works really well. Let's start introducing it now into your training days, pre-legs, some sort of dynamic work, or just making sure that you're doing something maybe post-session as well. Just integrating it into your routine is better than doing nothing, trust me. The third point is not sacrificing your form for the sake of loading. Now, I am very much on the train of the guy that makes the most strength gains is going to make a ridiculous amount of muscle gains. If I can essentially take my pendulum squat from 100 kilos, or just even go greater than that, if you can take your pendulum squat from 50 kilos to 250 kilos for the same amount of reps or double the amount of reps, your legs are going to grow. But you're probably going to get more growth if you've done that in conditions where your form hasn't changed and your execution stays immaculate. Now, of course, because you still want to make sure that the stimulus to that muscle is really good. It's really easy to just get obsessed with the logbook and think, I need to increase the loading now, otherwise I've failed, otherwise I haven't progressively overloaded. But if you're losing that stimulus on the muscle, or if you're just moving in a different way, that is now putting that loading or switching the bias of where that loading's going onto a different part of your physique or a different group of muscles, that's not good. So you want to make sure you're not sacrificing form for loading. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of, okay, so that means that every time I feel like the set gets really hard, I need to go through the process of a form reset. And then this form reset almost becomes let's say you're doing 100 kilos for 10 reps on a squat, arbitrary number. Okay, form reset, I need to go down to 50 kilos. No, that's not a form reset. Form reset might be, okay, I'm going to return back to my previous working set because my form was good there. And I'm going to just make the jumps slower or make the increases in load smaller each time I do so. So don't get it twisted. Yes, your form should not be sacrificed for loading, but don't go through this nonsense form reset where you essentially just drop your loading completely and then you essentially start your your exercise from the beginning again. Like you start from the loading that you're using on week one. It doesn't make any sense. But the main point is don't sacrifice your form for the sake of a logbook. When it comes to picking a squat pattern, you want to go by what feels good for you. And I know that sounds really obvious, but a lot of people jump on trends when it comes to squatting patterns because you are going to be doing a squatting pattern because you do want to grow your legs. A lot of people pick them based on what people are doing on social media. So the Cybex hack squat is a very popular one. I honestly don't get on very well with that machine. I get on well with it up to a point. I get up to about 5 plates, and then my knees are just busted. I can't progress that lift any further, and I lose that stimulus through my quads. Whereas me, I get on better with a safety bar squat, like heel elevated, and the pendulum squat, and a leg press. Those are kind of the three that I want to use to build my quads. But you can get stuck in that cycle of, well, things using a Cybex hack squat and it works really well for them. And maybe it does. It probably does. But if it just causes your knees to essentially explode, or you're just in severe pain for a few days, that's not going to be very conducive to you building muscle. So you really want to pick a squat pattern that works really well for you specifically. That is really important. I know you're probably thinking that's obvious. Like I obviously would do that, but it's very easy to get sucked into shiny object syndrome and think, oh, I saw Thingy do this on their story, so I'm going to try this. And oh, yes, Thingy does this, and such is doing this. And you just get pulled in different directions. And then you're doing movements that don't actually work for you. Number 5, last tip to grow your legs. It's going to be don't miss outside of the gym. Do not miss outside the gym. It's very easy to show up to the gym and train. It's something that if you're watching this video, you probably love training. The gym is a passion of yours, likely. It's easy. It's very easy to get yourself into the gym. Outside of the gym is where a lot of people slip when it comes to making improvements. Missing their hydration in terms of so water intake is poor. Missing their meals. So food is just inconsistent day to day, which is absolutely going to have an impact on your performance in the gym, without a doubt. Missing in terms of their sleep and their routine, just all over the place. And that is not going to help you build muscle. If you want sessions to go really well, if you want to make improvements to a certain body part, such as your legs, especially such a demanding and huge part of your physique, you're going to need to not miss outside of the gym. Like the more momentum that you can build of just not missing, months and months and months of just essentially just doing exactly what you're supposed to do in bodybuilding, you're going to give yourself the best chance possible to grow. From that, but you should be having, most of your sessions should be really good if you don't miss outside of the gym. If you don't miss outside of the gym and sessions are still meh or not very good, then it's usually a programming issue. But then if you're missing outside of the gym, your sessions are going to be meh. And you can't complain that they're meh because everything that's needed to do well in the gym is just, you're just half-assing it. So treat it like a sport. Treat yourself like an athlete. Take it seriously. Be determined to ensure that sessions are on the ball. It's really important if you want to make those improvements to your physique. So those are my 5 tips to build your legs. Today's session was fantastic, and all week I've been thinking about my off season. I am now at that stage in prep where I'm getting that craving of getting strong through an off season. Yeah, and it's usually for most people it's like, okay, bench, deadlift, squat, barbell squats, and conventional deadlifts, which did happen to me a couple of years ago. But this year, honestly, I've mostly been thinking about Bulgarian split squats because I even said to Bryony, imagine if you can basically hold 80 kg dumbbells in each hand. Because I've been looking at them in EP Jungle. EP Jungle, they've got 82.5 kg dumbbells. I was like, if you can hold one of those dumbbells in each hand, lift your leg, balance, get deep, with a deficit as well, probably, with a nice stretch, and do that for a top set of 6 to 8 reps. How can your legs be small? That's just what I've been thinking about all week. I just want to get a stupid Bulgarian split squat, just a ridiculous one. Or even if just using a barbell or a Smith machine, and if you can just throw 4 plates on that and just split squat it for 10 reps, your legs, there's literally no reason why your legs would be small. So I put it on my Instagram story today. You see these cyclists. This is German cyclist who split squats 240 kilos. Bulgarian split squats 240 with a free bar. And his legs are stupendous. A lot of these Olympic weightlifters, a lot of these Chinese dudes, they just have stupendous quads. Squats and Bulgarian split squats. That's the recipe. So that's what I've been thinking about all week with regards to my training. But today's leg session was good nonetheless. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it. As I said, it was one of the last ones before the second show in terms of going full tilt. So yeah, we are closing in now. In terms of the physique, really happy. I'll actually put up some shots from this morning. 95.5 kilos this morning. So honestly, just hovering around the same body weight. I'm just a little bit heavier, 0.3 kilos heavier than what I was on my last show day. And everything is going really well. I honestly can't complain. So anyway, I appreciate you watching the video. If you enjoyed this one, leave it a like. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll, of course, see you for the next one.